Hey everybody, welcome back to CF's Heroes of Sport. My name is Bob Babbitt, co-founder of Challenge Athletes Foundation. Each week, it's my honor to interview some amazing athletes from around the world. This week is no different. We get to chat with former Major League pitcher, Mr. Dave Dravecky, and the star of the upcoming movie, Landis Just Watch Me, Mr. Landis Sims. Dave, let's start with you. I look back at your career and you won 64 games, 558 strikeouts, 313 ERA, 1,000 innings pitched. Everything, your career, until obviously you got injured, you were cruising along.
Yeah, things were going extremely well. And, and I had just been traded from from the Padres to the Giants. And so overall, my career was going exactly where I would hoped it would have gone. And I was at the peak of my career when I became a Giant. And so life was looking really good. And I mean, you see your dream come true and you get a chance to play in the big leagues and to participate at that level, at the highest level, was just a tremendous honor and privilege. So it was a great experience, Bob, wonderful experience.
Well, and you look at it, while you're with the Padres, you went to World Series in '84. Pitched
The Tigers beat the tar out of us in that World Series, but they give the losers a really nice ring too. And I actually possess 2 losers rings that I'm really proud of.
Well, you should, because you pitched great in the play. You pitched all 3 games in the playoffs against the Cubs. And it's interesting because both in '84 and '89, when the Giants played the Cubs in '89 and you played the Cubs with the Padres in '84, right?
Yes. As a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, Will Clark was the one that got us into the postseason in that particular one. And if you remember, Leon Durham was playing first base for the Cubs.
Yes.
The ball went between his legs, and we ended up scoring the go-ahead runs to actually win against the Cubs when we were down 2-0 in a 5-game series. And that was so much fun. That series was amazing to get to the World Series. I felt really bad for the Cubs because I have some friends in Chicago and they said, "You're killing me, man. You played for the Padres and the Giants. You both kept us out of the World Series when we should have been there."
Well, and this is basically, we're taping this a couple of days after what would have been the 35th anniversary. That was July 4th, '87, of you getting traded from the Padres and the Giants. And when you get traded, you're not excited about getting traded, but because you're part of the San Diego family. You guys have gone to the World Series. When you get to the Giants, when did you start feeling like, okay, this is a good move?
Oh, right away. I mean, when we flew into Chicago, it took a lot to get Kevin Mitchell on the plane. He was extremely upset and he was ready to quit and didn't want to go to the Giants. And Craig Lefferts and I, we worked really hard to convince him to get in the cab and get to the airport with us and get on that plane. And then when we got there, it was absolutely amazing. Mike Krukow greeted us, Roger Craig, Norm Sherry, Al Rosen. When we got into the clubhouse in Chicago at Wrigley Field, they called us up to the manager's office and welcomed us and said that we were some of the final pieces of the puzzle that were going to get us to the promised land. That makes you feel really good, especially when an organization says, "We don't want you." And now you have an organization that's saying, "We went after you because you're part of the pieces of the puzzle that'll get us to the promised land." And we just immediately, it was like, Padres, did we really play for them?
That's great. So Landis, you certainly can relate to feeling like, gosh, people want me or don't want me, because when you first got into playing baseball, people were telling you, missing both arms and both legs, both hands and both feet, you're not going to be able to play baseball. How hard was that growing up with everybody doubting you?
I think definitely in the beginning it was pretty difficult, but I kind of, proved myself pretty early that, I could hang with everybody. And after that, in the small community that I'm in, everybody knew me and they knew I could play. So, it took that first little bit to kind of prove everybody wrong. And after that, it was pretty good.
So Amanda, as mom, you've got a child who is missing parts of all 4 limbs. And when he was born, what were you thinking that he'd be able to accomplish in his life?
honestly, when he was born, really, it was very unknown. I never expected baseball to be in our future, coming from kind of a sports background myself and just always having enjoyed, different sports. I didn't see that as a future at all for him. I knew he would be okay, and I knew that he would be able to live a full life, but I really didn't see sports at all as part of his future. And then it became very evident, by 6 months old and then by a year old, that baseball is actually, he was drawn to a ball. He just absolutely loved any kind of ball. And then it, developed very quickly that baseball was going to be the sport that he loved, which, would have been something I'd have never expected, or that then he could continue to play this game, especially at this level that he's at now.
When we watch the movie and we see just all the alterations you had to do on the glove and just, basically your son wants to play ball and it's not,
Yes.
it's, we better figure it out. Right.
Yeah.
So part of that was, we got to take a shin guard, put it in a baseball glove. We got to figure out how, because Landis is going to throw with the glove. He doesn't have hands. And at the same time, we've got to find somebody, it turned out to be David Rotter out of Chicago, who understands how to build prosthetic legs that will help this kid not just walk from here to the corner, but to go side to side and play baseball. It just seems like your whole mentality from the beginning was, if he wants to do it, I better figure it out.
And that has been it. And, when he was little, he was getting ready to start T-ball, we'd never even really thought about a glove because we'd always just played in the backyard. And when he threw the ball, he actually used both hands to be able to throw it. And, we had several arguments of, you have to have a glove. You have to have a glove in the field. And his whole thing was, well, then I can't throw. How am I supposed to throw? So it became very evident, very, very young. So by, age 4, that we were going to have to find adaptations and that he was going to have to learn to be able to use these. And that kind of led us down that path of, the glove is one part of it. And then he kind of figured out the batting thing. That's where then Dave came in and created the bat attachment, because there is no book out there that, says this is how a kid with no hands plays baseball.
Yeah. Well,
there's no going to a guy and sitting down that makes prosthetics and says, oh yeah, I make these all the time. It's not a thing. And then especially with the legs, we called Dave our mad scientist from the get-go, but he just wanted to find something that would make Landis capable of playing with the other kids, because prosthetics that really, allow the balance that you need to be able to hit a ball aren't really all that great at running or moving side to side. So, kind of figuring out how we can come up with something that's going to work the best for a baseball player that has 2 prosthetics. That was a process. And it's been an interesting ride.
Landis, when I watch you as a little kid and batting cross-handed, obviously when you're batting cross-handed the way we're with, basically cross-wristed, you're trying to hit the inside pitch is hard. Trying to get to the outside pitch is damn near impossible. The adaptation that David Rotter created, how important was that to the success you've had since then?
That was definitely huge because, I have more of a normal swing. I can turn on the ball better. I can, it's easier to sit back and wait and drive an outside pitch the other way. I can get more extension. It's just all around been a lot better. I've been able to create more power, and it's been pretty huge.
So Dave, you're coming off of the 87 playoffs. You pitched 15 innings, 14 strikeouts, gave up 1 run against the Cardinals. You had a phenomenal play. Then you go into 88. When did you start feeling that something was going on with your arm? Because originally, didn't they just think it was just a muscle issue?
But before I go into that, Bob, gosh, your guys' story is so inspiring.
Isn't it amazing?
Thank you.
It is absolutely incredible I saw some of the interview that Bobby Baxa sent me to watch. I was overwhelmed. I mean, Landis, what you've been able to do is unbelievable. And then I see that sign behind you that is so indicative, obviously, of who you are.
Exactly.
It is really inspiring and such an honor and a privilege to be on this call with you, to hear your story, and Mom, to see what you have done. I mean, your strength and endurance through this whole story is absolutely amazing. And, all too often, the ones behind the scenes are never acknowledged or get any credit because it always goes to the superstar, one that's out there front and center. But you guys, what you've done for your son is absolutely amazing. So I just want to thank you, because it's one of those things where you get on a call like this and you hope you can be inspiring and encouraging to someone, and you walk away being inspired and encouraged by the people you're with on that call. And so thank you. It really means a lot to me to be able to sit here and look at both of you and see what you've gone through, not knowing all of what you've experienced, but some as an amputee. I've got somewhat of an idea, but at the end of the day, it is just so amazing and so cool. And just God bless you and your family. It's just amazing to see what you have been able to accomplish through some extremely adverse situations and circumstances, and no hands, no feet, no limits. I just absolutely love that. That is so cool. So, yeah. So where were we? 1988. All I can say is in January of I think it was 1980, at the end of 1987.
Yeah.
Right before November, December, maybe January of 88, I felt a small pea-sized lump on the outside of my left arm. Nothing major, but I got permission from the Giants to go to the Padres doctors. They took an MRI. They couldn't find anything conclusive. I hated the MRI machine. That thing was so claustrophobic.
Yep. And
they had me in it for 2 hours. And I said, I don't ever want to do this again, because they couldn't see anything on my left arm. So they wanted to do my right arm. And I'm like, enough's enough. And so I walked away and everything was okay. Opening day, I start for the Giants at Chavez Ravine against the Los Angeles Dodgers. Dave Dravecky versus Fernando Valenzuela. And we win that game 5-1. Steve Sachs, first pitch of the game, hits a home run off of me, Landis. And from that point on, I threw a 2-hit shutout. And went 9 innings, complete game in the first game of the season. That had never happened in this day and age with baseball. No. So, I'm thinking 1988 is going to be my year. And that's really, all of a sudden, this small pea-sized lump started growing. And by September of 1988, it was half the size of a golf ball sticking out of my left arm. And now the doctors were very concerned, and they had to go in and do another MRI, which I was just beside myself over. But it came back that, in fact, I was being diagnosed with cancer in my left arm, and the doctors were telling me, outside of a miracle, I'd never pitch again. And so that's what I was left with in that moment there. So I had a choice to make.
Well, yeah. So October 7th, 1988, you had the surgery.
Yes.
And
my 10th wedding anniversary, by the way.
I'm sorry?
My 10th wedding anniversary.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So my wife said, thanks. Was not good.
So they froze the humerus bone in an effort to eliminate all the cancerous cells, removed half of your deltoid muscle in your pitching arm. Right. They told you to wait till 1990 to pitch again, but you knew the team was going to be great in 89. You wanted to be part of that.
Yeah. And the doctor said, look, we're just going to take it one step at a time. You have to be honest with us, whether you feel pain or not. And so throughout the entire rehab process, which initially started to get me back to health, it wasn't about baseball. It was just about getting healthy again. And then from there, starting to develop whatever was left in my left arm to be able to use it again. Not to be able to throw a baseball, just to be able to use it.
Yeah.
But then from there, when I got to that point and there was so much strength that was being revealed, they said, hey, if you don't have any pain and everything seems to be moving forward, let's give it a shot on this comeback. And so we began to increase the intensity of my workouts and my routine. And I had some really rough spots in all of that. I mean, there was real frustration. You're doing really well, and all of a sudden things kind of flatten off. And it's like, gosh, am I going to be able to get any better? It was like I ran into this wall I got a bloody nose and it was okay. I cleaned it up, figuratively speaking, but could I get to the other side of that wall? And I knew the only way to get to the other side was to go through it. And that was really hard. But then I broke through. And so there was another level. And then I broke through again at another level. But each step of the way, it was very difficult. And there were a lot of frustrations until all of a sudden one day, Atlee Hammaker, my best friend in baseball, he said, hey, let's go out and play catch. I know you're frustrated. Let's just go out and play catch. We'll do some long toss and see if you're feeling any better. Because I was kind of stuck. I was at one of those walls. And sure enough, he came up to me before we started throwing and he said, look, you have nothing to lose and everything to gain. Go out there and just let it rip. Don't hold anything back. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But you got to, sooner or later, you got to let it go. You got to break through the fear of something happening if you try to push this.
Right.
So I went out and I started playing catch with him. And then he looked at me, he goes, are you loose? I said, yeah. He goes, let it rip. So I let it rip. And all of a sudden I felt this pop in my arm, but it wasn't pain. It was almost as if something had been released. And what they thought was I maybe had broken free some adhesions that were in there, from scarring and all that stuff. Well, the next thing you know, I've got freedom. And now I'm letting it fly and I'm throwing with everything I've got. And Atlee's going, dude, that's feeling good in my hand. Keep it coming. So I said, no, let's stop. I'm feeling really good. I'm going to go to Norm. I want to throw a bullpen right now. So I ran over to Norm Sherry, my pitching coach, and I said, hey, I want to throw a bullpen. I want to get up on the mound and I want to start throwing. He goes, whoa, 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 slow down, boy. He said, what happened? So I told him, he said, let's talk to the doctors. Let's put a plan together and we'll get you out here hopefully tomorrow. And so that's when all of a sudden things started going really fast. And the next thing you know, they're telling me I'm going to Stockton, California going over to Stockton to throw a minor league game on July 23rd. And I was given 75 pitches. And I hit 75 pitches with 2 strikes in the 7th inning of a doubleheader, which was the last inning. We're winning 4-2. I got 75 pitches, 2 strikes, and all I got to do is get one more out and I've got a complete game. And Todd Oates comes out, the manager. Says, Dave, I got to pull you. You're at 75 pitches. No, you're not. I said, you're not taking me out of this game. And you get this, Landis, you get this, because it's what's in here.
Yeah,
There's something that pushes you. There's something that drives you. When somebody says you can't, somebody says you're not supposed to, somebody says, don't do that because you might. We've got to try. And so bottom line was, I said, Todd, get back in the dugout. I'll take all the blame for the extra pitch. All I need is one. I'm going to throw it down the middle, see what the kid does with it. Threw it down the middle, ground ball, game's over, complete game. I said, right in the book, I threw 75 pitch, not 76. So anyway, it was beautiful, Bob. It was just an amazing experience.
Well, then August 10th, you come back, and how emotional was that? August 10th, you against
overwhelming.
Cincinnati, crowd's going crazy. You're coming. No, people told you you'd never pitch again. That's why I love this, because people told Landis he'd never play baseball. They told Amanda, your kid will never play baseball. They told you you'd never pitch again. And you go out and you throw 8 innings. You beat the Reds, what, 4-2,
4-3.
4-3.
4-3.
And then, then 5 days later, you're pitching against Montreal.
Yeah.
And you're 3 no-hit innings.
Yep.
In the
6th
5th,
inning,
a little tingling.
Yep.
And then in the 6th.
But normal stuff.
Normal
it was all
tingling.
normal stuff, Bob. Yeah. All
So,
normal.
but the first pitch, you gave up a home run to Andres Galarraga, and then the first pitch to Tim Raines, basically your arm snaps.
Yeah.
The fact that your arm ended up snapping, did you question yourself? Why did I come back? Or
Nope.
was it never did?
Nope. No regrets, no questions, no indication to say not to go back out there and pitch in the 6th inning. It was all normal stuff. I mean,
Yes.
It was the kind of stuff that you feel when you're pitching under regular circumstances. So, and I look back, and because of no regrets, I mean, a lot of guys walk away from the game and they have a lot of regrets,
Yes.
and they can't go back and watch it after they retire. That breaks my heart because, you know, I love the game so much. And to get where I got, nobody expected it. So every pitch, every experience in that pitch was a gift. So why would I see it any other way and then have regrets when it was over, when nobody ever thought I'd be able to do it?
Right.
To your point, Landis, nobody thought you could do what you're doing. Nobody. So does that stop you just because people think you can't do it? No,
Never.
no. Because the only one that's got to be satisfied with that is you. And so unless you make the effort, you'll never know. And like you, I mean, and this is really hard for me because I can't compare myself to you. I had 2 arms and 2 legs. I had cancer in my arm. I went through an extreme surgery, but I still had my left arm, my entire left arm. And with your limitations, you've shown there are no limitations. And it's all because of the approach that you've taken, the attitude that you've had. You know, life is 10% what happens and 90% how we react to it.
Mhm.
And so you saw a situation that was pretty tough. It was real tough. But you said, I've got a choice to make. I love the game of baseball. Somehow I'm going to figure out how to play this game. That is what is so cool, because that's what's inspiring young boys and girls all over this country who think they don't have the ability to do it, or they can't, you know, or maybe I shouldn't. I coulda, shoulda, woulda. You know, you don't want to live your life with those words in your vocabulary. And it's just so beautiful to see that you've been able to do what you've done. And that's an inspiration, as I said earlier, to anyone that comes face to face with your story. You know, I got to live my dream and get to the big leagues. You know, the situation that I went through, I see simply as this. I've been given a platform, and that platform is to give other people hope. You know, that's
Yeah.
the platform God's given you, you know, and it's a beautiful platform.
That's exactly right. That's exactly the platform that Landis has right now. Is
Yeah.
so many kids out there are looking at Landis and going, because really, to be honest, David, we at CAF, we had never provided a grant to somebody who was a quadruple amputee baseball player. We'd never seen that before. So Landis is one of one. And when I watched what his prosthetist was doing, right, what David Rotter was doing, it was sort of like being there when the Wright brothers were putting the plane together, going, wait a second, he's creating something that's never been done before.
That is so inspiring. That guy has got an amazing gift to be able to set you up the way he has. I mean,
Absolutely.
I refuse to have a prosthetic because I can't have a prosthetic that functions because I don't have a stub to work with. And so they strapped it on me 3 days after my surgery. They came in and they put this thing on me that had straps across here. I mean, a brace in my back, and it felt like I was wearing a bra.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't like this.
Yeah.
This is so uncomfortable. This is ridiculous. I said, please just take it away, because I'm going to try and do this just the way I am. Because if it can't function, I could care less about the image, you know, the cosmetic.
Yeah.
You know, all I need to know is my wife loves me, just loves me the way I am. And that's good for me.
I love it.
So
So Landis, when Eric Cochran, the producer of the film, and first came to you guys and said, hey, I want to follow you around. They met you in Orange County and said, I'm going to follow you around. And when did you get to the point where you thought, okay, is this guy really making a movie about me? And now that you look back on it, how do you assess this journey that you guys, because really, Dave, the producer of the film, met Landis 8 years ago and have been documenting this journey for 8 years, which is what makes the film so special, because you see Landis as this chubby little 7-year-old, right?
Yeah.
And now you see him as this total stud who hits the crap out of the baseball.
Yeah.
Landis and Amanda, when you look back at this journey, how do you sum it up?
I think definitely in the beginning when, he said that he wanted to, film me and make a movie about me, I was all in for it. It was a cool idea. I loved it. And I think definitely the connections that have come with it that Eric have helped with have definitely helped me out in my journey. And, we've both kind of grown. We've all kind of grown as people together. We've kind of welcomed Eric to the family almost. It's just been really fun, spend a lot of time with Eric filming and just having a lot of fun.
Love it. And one of Dave's quotes, which I love, it's not what you get out of life, it's what you give. And I've seen you with Chase Merriweather and seen you with some of our other challenged athlete kids. Chase happens to be also, Dave, Chase is a quadruple amputee and he's loving baseball as well. Well, now he's got a role model. He's got somebody who's done it, who's paving the way. How important is that to you, Landis, as you move forward, to be that guy, to be sort of that role model?
That's definitely one of my biggest goals with this is to, kind of give myself a platform to be able to inspire, younger kids and help kids that are kind of in the same situation as I am. My goal is to manage in the MLB, and ultimately that's, I just like helping people, and that's what I want to do. So, any kids like Chase or, any other amputee kids that want to play baseball, I'm here to help and, kind of give them advice and, help them through the tough times or whatever.
Amanda, one of the things that I've noticed over the years with our CAF kids is every time they leave the house, the spotlight is on them. It's hard to hide when you're missing parts of 4 limbs, right? And kids either shrink from that or they embrace it, and they embrace who they are and what they have to offer. How proud of you are you of this young man?
I'm extremely proud of him. And especially from the time he's been very little, he's never been ashamed of who he is. I mean, he's always embraced from the time, he was very, very little, that he was made perfect, that he's not missing hands or feet, that's just the way that God made him. So, and he doesn't go out with this, I'm a victim mentality. And that has changed so much, just the way that he interacts with other people and the way that, he just kind of lives his life and the way that, he inspires other people. And I know days are hard. And I mean, and you hear comments and you hear people say things, and, can't tell you, I couldn't count how many times people have been like, you have robot legs, you have robot legs. And he's just like, well, they're just legs, because it is very visible, but he's not going to wear pants just to hide it. Kind of like Dave said, you don't want something that's not functioning. And that's what his legs aren't. They're nothing to be embarrassed of or to hide, because they serve a purpose. Absolutely. And, we've been down that path with prosthetic hands. At this point, they don't serve a purpose. They haven't really served anything, so he doesn't mess with them. In the future, with technology, could there be something that will serve a purpose? If it does, then he'll utilize it. But he's never been concerned about what other people think. And, as his mom, it's amazing the inner strength that he has, because it's hard. It's hard to be a kid in today's age. Image is so important, and especially to be a teenager and to be able to go out and be like, it doesn't matter. This part doesn't matter. I'm going to go out and I'm going to achieve what I want to achieve. I'm going to reach my goals. I'm going to do what I want to do. That's your problem if you have a problem with it. And, it truly inspires me too, just to be able to see him go out every day and be like, I'm living my life. If you have a problem with it, you have a problem with it. I'm good. So I'm extremely proud of him.
And when we look at the upcoming month of July, we're talking Washington Nationals Park on the 10th of July, on the 11th inside Yankee Stadium, doing a little baseball clinic for some of our CF kids. And then on the 12th, Landis will be throwing out first pitch at the Yankees game. And then later in the month, you'll be throwing out first pitch at the Giants game at Oracle Park. And hopefully, Dave, you guys will get a chance to meet up close and personal.
Hopefully, yeah.
I think we are. We're looking forward to it. That's for sure.
It's very cool.
Yeah.
Dave, how hard was it after you had your arm amputated? Because one thing, Landis was born that way. That's different when you lose something. And I read, your arm, your hands, your arm to you was like the hands for a concert pianist. what feet are to a marathon runner. You lost something that was really, really part of you and sort of your identity. How long did you struggle with after you'd had your arm amputated?
Yeah, that was I mean, that's a great question, because I was going to ask, actually, I wanted to ask Landis if he could articulate some of his struggles, although your mom alluded to the fact that it's hard. And so, I mean, you get that. It is hard. I mean, you're learning to function in what people deem as a normal culture. And you have some limitations just simply based on the fact that, you know, you weren't born with hands and feet. And so now you have to figure out, how do I live? How do I go through this process and live? And there's got to be some, I always in my story talk about the good days, the bad days, and the ugly days, because all three exist in my story. And after my amputation, my wife and I talk about the fact that I went through an identity crisis. I mean, so for me, it was really hard because my identity, a lot of my identity was wrapped up in what I did as a professional athlete.
Right.
And so everybody looked at me as the Major League Baseball player who was special. And then all of a sudden, this is gone and I'm not special anymore. How am I going to get on with the rest of my life? And to Amanda's point in Landis's story related to, look, this is who I am. I have to go forward and live this life, regardless of what people think about me. I've got to be secure in who I am. And so after the amputation, I went into clinical depression. My wife went into clinical depression. There was so much attention placed on us during that period of time. We had literally tens of thousands of pieces of mail where people were wishing us well. And my wife wanted to respond to everybody that wrote to us. And it was overwhelming. And we had tons of help from the Giants, from other organizations that dealt with the really intense suicidal letters that we received because people were in similar situations and didn't know how to handle it and were looking for hope. And so we would hand those off to people who were more qualified. But we were in counseling, Bob, we were in counseling for 18 months.
Wow.
Just dealing with this process of healing post-career and learning to articulate the pain that was going on inside, not to stuff it, because I'm a stuffer. And then all of a sudden in the stuffing, well, sooner or later, Mount Vesuvius is going to erupt. Exactly. And so I'd have these major anger outbursts. And then I became verbally abusive to my family. And that was a horrible time. And I'll never forget when we got out of the 18 months of counseling, my wife received a book from a Christian counselor by the name of Gary Oliver, and he was writing on anger in men. And she came to me and she said, would you like to go to him? I'm endorsing his book, and he lives 30 minutes from us. We had just moved to Colorado after we went through all that stuff. We were in Ohio, and we moved to Colorado, and he goes, he's only 30 minutes from our house. And at that point in my story, I looked at my wife and I said, absolutely. I said, I don't want to be that guy. It takes so much energy to be mean. And I said, I don't want to be mean anymore. I mean, I don't understand what's going on inside. So I need to figure out how to deal with this anger. And so I went into 12 months of anger counseling after the 18 months. And what was beautiful about that, Bob, was that my wife joined me for every session for a whole year. And she actually learned the tools that I was given to help me manage my anger. And I can honestly tell you that that was, what, 20, 30 years ago?
Yeah.
And I've got to tell you, I don't think she can count on one. As a matter of fact, I think she'd sit here and tell you that she hasn't seen Mount Vesuvius since that 12 months of anger management. And that's a pretty good thing.
I love it.
No, it's not that I haven't been angry,
Yes.
but I don't do the Mount Vesuvius thing. So it was hard. It was hard.
Landis, was there a low point for you during this journey? You know, trying to get, getting to be able to, try out for the team, hopefully making the team, people doubting and questioning. Was there a low point for you, or have you been pretty even keel through all this?
Most of the time, I've been pretty much, good to go. But, there's been a couple times where, I feel like all the work I'm putting in, just, the coaches still just, they don't trust me. But, we worked through it and we're good to go now. So I'm back to myself, back to the, confidence self that I have in myself. So
When you look at the movie and see yourself as a little kid and see that journey, how do you look at the film? Because it's hard to look back at yourself. Very few people have 8 years of footage of them growing up and saying, oh my God, that's what I was like. But how do you look at it?
I think it's been pretty cool getting to see like me growing up and, seeing the work that I've put in, to get to this point where I'm at and kind of getting to, relive, not really relive, but kind of watch and see the progress I've made.
You've made a lot, man. It's been watching you hit and Dave, watching video of this young man swat. I mean, he can hit. This guy is a ball player. And I love when you in the film, where there's a scene where you're talking about the pitcher, you've been watching him for all the innings and you knew exactly what he was going to do. You analyzed, you knew what the pitcher had. He had a high kick. He was going to come inside. He was going to go outside. He thinks I can't get the outside pitch. You're a thinking man's baseball player. I love that because, you've had to do more because you're dealing with the fact that you're missing hands and feet.
Yeah, definitely. I think, part of the biggest thing for me is, I got to be mentally better than everybody else out there. Physically, they might have me by a step or two. So mentally, I got to be better than them.
You are better than them. So I can't wait till we get a chance to be all together at the Oracle Ballpark on the 28th of July. And hopefully we'll be together, I think on the 27th as well. I think we're gonna do something with the Junior Giants. So
Yeah.
thank you all for taking time. Dave, such a treat, such an honor to get to chat with you. And Landis and Amanda, we'll see you in Washington, D.C. on Saturday. We get ready for the Sunday clinic at Washington's Nationals Ballpark, beginning
Yep.
Landis Across America begins this weekend. It's going to be crazy.
That's awesome.
It is going to be crazy. Yeah.
It's going to be crazy.
So-
Hey, thank you
Well, Dave,
all.
it was great to meet you.
You too, Amanda. Landis, man, just so inspiring. It's just,
Thank you.
it's a real gift and a blessing to have had this time with you. I won't forget it, and I look forward to being face to face. So I'm a hugger.
Absolutely.
So hopefully I'll get a hug from
We
you.
are too.
Cool.
I love it.
Yeah.
Again, this is CAF's Heroes of Sport. Thank everybody for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time. See ya.